This is On the Flywheel, a podcast where each week we talk to entrepreneurs and professionals about the practical things they do to build and keep momentum in their personal and professional lives.
Hello and welcome to On the Flywheel. I'm your host, Jonathan Mart with Flywheel Consulting. And today I'm excited to have on the podcast Adrian Gould, a practice director with Robert Half. Welcome on today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited for this. Usually I'm the one asking questions, so to be asked questions is really cool.
Yeah, people are always really nervous because most people haven't, despite how ubiquitous podcasts are today, and everyone and their mother is trying to have a podcast. I'm in that category. It's still a pretty novel thing. Like most people haven't had a chance to be on, so it's kind of a fun, unique experience, and everyone likes talking about themselves.
Yeah, no,
I like when people ask me questions.
You go on and on. How much time do we have booked? 2-3 hours, 4 hours?
Well, I'll tell you what. The more the guest likes talking, the easier my job is. So I'm never going to complain about that.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Well,
so we're match made in heaven.
It works out.
I always like to start out the conversation, giving us a foundation, is just to like hear about kind of your career path, what you've done to get to where you are today, and then we can kind of jump in and talk about what you do now.
Yeah. So starting at the beginning, I guess, growing up kind of in that formative high school years, I was always interested in business, as I'm sure a lot of your guests are, generally looking at, business, I'm interested in all that. So, I went to school, got my bachelor's in business management, and just really fascinated and just, different types of businesses, different industries, all the nuances that go with all of those things, different roles, general management, marketing, customer service, logistics, supply chain. There's so many different things. So that landed me to randomly Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So I was did their management trainee program right after college, and that threw me in the fire of just running your own business, basically. So I was, ultimately worked my way up to branch manager. I was running a few different stores up in Ukiah, Willits, Fort Bragg, and then I came to a
quick question. How busy were those stores? Were they pretty busy, being in the middle of nowhere?
We grew them. So it's,
Is it like my car's in the shop kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I tried to expand it in as many different avenues as we could. So we were doing a lot of body shop, dealership, rentals. We did a lot of retail stuff. A lot of people, traveling, they would want to weigh a rental car down to SFO, just a cheaper than getting an Uber down there. So they'd go and rent it that way.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I never would have thought about that. That's
Yeah. And kind of the unfortunate downside of growing too is when there are big fires up in Ukiah area. We did a big contract with Cal Fire. So we ended up bringing in a ton of pickup trucks and everything for the first responders for that. So
that's an interesting, that's like always an interesting side effect of something like big that happens. You never think about, a bunch of cars burned up, or you have a bunch of people that need transportation moving into an area to deal with something. And it's always interesting how different industries are affected by different, disasters or things like that.
Yeah. And we want to be there for people and, insurance claims from people losing their cars and everything. So, but that's ultimately how we grew, and we got pretty busy up there as a result of some of those things. And then when that, fizzled out a little bit, then we went back to being really busy in the retail side and dealerships and kind of the normal body shop stuff.
Yeah.
So did that for a while. And then I was commuting from Petaluma to Ukiah, 6 days a week. So that kind of burnt me out a little bit.
Yeah.
So coincidentally, a lot of my coworkers for Enterprise, they went into recruiting at Robert Half. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. I haven't recruited, but I loved HR. I was interested in talent acquisition in the past. I was doing sales, customer service, logistics, and all of that translated really well into recruiting. So then I did recruiting at Robert Half.
So talk about Robert Half for a second. Just describe what they do and all the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Robert Half, we're the largest specialized staffing agency. So we've been around 77 years. So a little bit, but a brief period of time. But we really first started at finance and accounting staffing as like a specialization. And then we just grew into different other specializations company-wide. So we have legal staffing, IT staffing, admin, customer service, all other different types of things. So the company's grown, and then we do regular contract staffing. We do permanent placements. Robert Half also partnered with a full-on consulting firm called Protiviti. So they're like a big accounting firm. So they do like audit, assurance, a few other things there. So we're kind of like a blend of all these different things now.
So are you guys? I almost did a internship, I think, with Protiviti back in college.
Okay.
So are you guys? You guys are partnered, or what's the relationship?
Parent and sister company.
Oh, okay. So Protiviti owns
Robert Half owns Protiviti.
Robert Half owns Protiviti. Okay, so Robert Half's pretty. I thought Protiviti was a decent sized.
Pretty big. They're both pretty big companies.
Yeah, I did not. Okay, Robert Half is bigger than I realized.
Yeah,
so very cool. Very cool. All right, so let's talk about pretty much enterprise to Robert Half, and then here we are today. So talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I am the practice director for our loan staff program for accounting and finance. So I'm responsible for just hiring all of our different accounting and finance consultants, and it's similar to regular contract staffing where a company said, "Hey, I have this going on. I need a temp." But my program is a little bit more elevated to where there's a specific project or initiative or a business situation where you need a little bit more continuity or a little bit more specific of a skill set. So I work with various accounting and finance managers, HR managers, CFOs, executive suites to help find a way to staff a certain situation or a project that they're working on. So I'll recruit the talent, I'll evaluate, match make, we'll place the talent there, and then I'm just ensuring that we're getting the job done, we're meeting our deadlines, we're getting across the finish line with what we need to do.
So it sounds like there's a little bit of a project-based element to this. It's not just like, hey, I need a body, send me a body with this skill set, send me a body with that skill set. It's because it sounds like you're actively involved in project management on behalf of the client.
Yeah. I would say, we have the regular contract or regular temp staffing, and sometimes you can get away with that and stuff, and that's what I did for a while. It's a little bit more hands-on, I would say, and a little bit more specialized.
So what's some of the most interesting projects that you get to work on?
Yeah. Oh goodness. A lot, and it depends on what you mean by interesting.
We'll take whatever. I mean, I want to hear, in terms of the work, and also in terms of just like, craziest clients or craziest situation, that happens.
We got some things.
Give me as much tea as we can get here without jeopardizing anything.
Well, I NDA signed for a few things, but so we do like a lot of mergers and acquisitions. Okay. Companies, and we see that a lot in the North Bay as far as, companies getting acquired by private equity firms or wineries getting acquired by large wine groups. So we'll go in and help bringing accountants help integrate their systems, integrate their books, help with their processes and procedures, and kind of get everything going to the new parent company or how they want to structure it. So we do a lot of staffing for that. We do a lot of software implementations. So that's been a big one in San Francisco and the North San Francisco Bay Area. Lots of companies are embracing technology. 2020 kind of ripped the Band-Aid off for a lot of organizations, saying, we need to figure out how to go cloud. My accountants usually have systems implementation experience. So they've gone through various programs and they can kind of help with that. So we've done projects. We're helping with the testing on that. We're helping with the day-to-day while the other team's working on the testing. So we do a lot of implementation stuff. So that's been big. And and it's always changing with software, always changing.
What, just real quick, I'm curious, are there any like specific, in terms of the software, I assume you're mostly talking about like accounting, ERP stuff. Like what do you see in companies out there to get a little bit more like, I mean, technical, but what do you think, what do you like out there that companies are using? Which ones do you feel like people like are good for companies or bad for companies in terms of the software they're implementing?
Yeah, and it really depends on the company and what the company's trying to accomplish. I'm not an expert in implementing systems myself, but I'm good at identifying systems and figuring out how to get something done. So there's so many different industry-specific ERPs. So let's say if you're a winery and you need an ERP with a robust inventory module, you might want to look at a cloud-based ERP that has a good inventory module like NetSuite or Microsoft Dynamics Business Central or SAP. So you're looking at those. If you're a more small to mid-sized nonprofit where maybe things are a little bit more general, but you want a good grant module, but you want something very user-friendly, then maybe you're looking at Sage Intacct. If you're just a small business, maybe you just want to do QuickBooks Online. So it's really tailored for what your size is, what your business needs, how complex your accounting and finance needs are, how you need to integrate maybe other different components of your business. So there's a whole bunch
you
of
gave me
things.
the it depends answer,
Yeah.
which is fair because it is
Yeah.
true. It is very, I mean, in my experience as well, it really depends on the need. But I was just curious if there are any ones that were like, every time you go to implement this, you help implement this, it's great. Or every time you go to implement it, it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's more complex ones and everything. I know Workday implementations are challenging because it's pretty robust, but we've had a lot of success kind of configuring that with our teams, and we actually use that system at corporate. But yeah, I mean, Sage Intacct is a good one. Dynamics Business Central, that's a pretty common one.
Yeah,
a lot of companies are switching to up here.
So what do you think? Well, let's finish with the T for a second. So, what you got? Any other good stories for us in terms of what goes right, what goes wrong in these kinds of projects?
Yeah, so I'll start with what goes right. So what goes right is the client has a need. They need someone with X, Y, Z.
Is that Robert Half
someone X,
does
Y,
a great
Z,
job.
and we're happy. We my consultant's happy. It's a great project for them. Client's happy. Great project for them. And we're doing a lot of those right now. But yeah, sometimes it's there's some situations where it goes funky where. On day one, the CFO resigns and it's like, okay, let's figure this out. And then 2 weeks in, they're like, oh, we have no idea what's going on. What we're going to do with this project, maybe we cancel it. So there's things like that. I've had more on the regular contract staffing side where, hey, I'm not going to take a COVID vaccine right in 2020. I'm like, I'm walking out and people just walking out. And I'm like, okay. There's someone getting in a fist fight in the bullpen once. And
now that would not have been on my bingo card for accounting and finance projects.
There's things that can happen. You got these teams and it's a very high stress environment, a lot of teams, and a lot of when the personalities don't align, that's when sometimes it doesn't work out.
No, yeah. Sure. You don't typically. I mean, that's interesting to hear. I was about to have stereotypes. I'm like, I better not get myself in trouble here. So, so what do you feel like if a customer is bringing you guys in, it's typically because they feel like they don't have the enough of the internal bandwidth to be able to handle the project on their own?
It's basically two things: bandwidth and expertise. So yeah, oftentimes, and a lot of teams right now are running really skeleton crew because it just, tight economy right now up in our area. So yeah, everyone's kind of running lean. And then something happens and it's like, well, I am at full capacity. Like we need to bring in some reinforcements to come in and help. So that's usually that. or if they might have recently done a system implementation, since we're talking about that. And I'm like, yeah, we kind of know how to work with the program, but I would love to have someone who actually knows how to work the program and come in and help us with the day-to-day and also help us figure it out together. Yeah. And that's a pretty big thing too that we're saying.
Yeah, no, for sure. So in terms of like, in terms of managing a project and working with a client, like what are you doing to ensure that that goes smoothly with your client?
Yeah, good question. So it's hard sometimes because I get the information that I get, and I do kind of a pre-screening meeting with like, okay, what's your situation? What do you need? What's your job description? But like, what's beyond the job description that we need to really get into to get you the right person? So we'll go through that whole intake process, and then we'll screen and we'll eventually with the client select who is going to be on that project. I'm making sure that person's set up for success, going through everything with the consultant. Hey, this is everything that I know. Here's my resources if you need extra resources to help. Then we go doing the project. I'm checking in with them once or twice a week initially. Then it's more once a week. I'm checking with the client. Hey, how are we doing? Are we on timeline? Are we checking the box that we need to check? So it's a lot of just touching base with my consultant, touching base with the client. And yeah, that's what we're able to do. Sometimes I'll go on site and be like, all right, we need to figure this out.
Try and give someone a kick in the pants or something.
Kick down the door like, hey, no one's responding to my emails. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. And then also if there's things that come up and like, hey, we're having some challenges in this situation, then, it's like, hey, we've done this in a few other instances. Let's repivot our approach.
So how are you staying on top of, I guess the first question is like, how many projects are you managing at once typically?
Yeah, we have about, in our North Bay team, about 10 consultants on projects right now. And then in San Francisco, where I also manage it, we have about 55. So it's myself and a few other recruiters on the team. We're checking with our people. So yeah, at a given time, 65 right now.
That's a lot of people and projects to manage. So I'm curious, like what you guys do to stay on top, or you personally do to stay on top of it, make sure that you are checking with all the people that need to check in, making sure you're tracking all the deadlines. And I'm curious, do you guys have an internal tool? Do you have some system you've built, that you use on your own? Just writing everything down on a piece of paper? What is it?
Yeah, we have a pretty big, robust Salesforce database where I have all my notes for anything. And I'll document everything, every conversation. Memory boosts, I can't remember everything. So, and people laugh at me too because I give the nitty gritty and everyone at Robert Half can see my notes. And it's like, oh yeah, I wrote everything down. So yeah,
anyone ever got in trouble?
Important.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe in a legal sense, too much. But generally, no one got in trouble for writing too many notes.
Yeah, exactly. So I have my notes here. I'm like, okay, I should probably follow up with this person in today to make sure we're good. And then it's just really heavy schedule management for me because I'm not only checking on the people on the project, but I'm recruiting, adding people to the team always. Also finding projects and doing a bit of cold calling and prospecting and networking on the business development side to make sure I have enough projects from my consultants. So I'm doing all of that. But I'll just time block in my Outlook calendar.
Okay.
Different things.
For just the different, how granular are you time blocking? Are you just time blocking like check in with clients for this hour, or is it like check in on this project, check in on this project, check in on this project?
Good question. So yeah, I'll give you an example. My Friday today, for example,
time block this incredible podcast recording.
Yeah, exactly. It was on there. I had to time block it and schedule things accordingly. So 8 to 8:15 was a meeting, check in with my North Bay team. Then I had 8:15 to 9 check in with my San Francisco team. Then I had 9 to 9:50. I was going to do LinkedIn recruiting, just going through resumes for staff accountants. Then 10 to 10:50, I'm doing that in San Francisco for senior accountants, and then 12 to 12:30 lunch. Yeah. You gotta make sure you eat.
Gotta eat.
12:30 to 1. I'm checking in with my candidates in North Bay projects. I'm just calling down the list. 1 to 1:50, checking in with my San Francisco candidates on projects. 2 to 2:50. Doing my marketing calls on calling open positions because I have 3 people in between projects right now. So calling those, companies on a prospective list. And then, here.
Wow.
So,
okay. So
it's juggling things. And sometimes I'll have interviews. Sometimes I'll have on-site client meetings. So we'll move that schedule around.
You got the whole day blocked out though.
Oh, yeah. 3 days in advance, usually. I'll make sure everything's hour by hour.
Are you doing any kind of like review cadence for like in terms of like looking at the past week, planning for the next week or the next day or anything like that?
Yeah, I do like a high level, going into the week. All right, this is what I got to do this week. And it's kind of bigger picture. And I can't, my more longer term things that I have going on, longer term projects or, things that I'm looking to do, outside of the granular day-to-day things. So I'll look at that, see what I can piece in through the week. And then about a day or two before, I'll go in and actually set my blocks. And then the night before, I'll adjust my blocks according to the business need as the day has evolved.
Right, what's going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I think time blocking can be a really powerful tool for getting things done because it's really easy to end up just getting distracted by something and suddenly you just blew 30 minutes, you blew an hour on something that maybe is important but not urgent or is more of a distraction than what you really need to be doing. So being intentional with your time can be very effective.
I learned that trial and error, plenty of trial and error. And there are days that I go down a rabbit hole and I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Even though I was busy. But I didn't do anything.
Busy does not mean productive, either, or at least depending on how you define productive is if productive is doing the things you should be doing and actually getting them done. Mm-hmm. I know for me, sometimes I get like, I have days like that where I get like a bug, like an itch on something I want to like figure out, especially if it's like I'm working on like a technical problem or something and it's probably, or something I want to try and figure out, it's probably not like, most of the time it's not a priority about what I need to get done, but it's like, it's occupying all of my headspace and I'm like, I end up wasting way too much time doing it.
It happens to me. And I'll, sometimes if it's so interesting, I'll throw it in, but it's time blocked. I'm like, I'm going to go to this AI in recruiting rabbit hole. I'm going to do a lot of research on AI tools. Cool. 50 minutes. After that, I'm done. Got to move to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. I have, see, what's interesting for me is when I've tried time blocking in the past, my problem is that I end up having so many things thrown at me in the course of the day that like need to get dealt with. Like I feel like the day changes so much that the time blocking just kind of like goes immediately out the window. Yeah. Do you have that experience, or how do you or like you don't get thrown off as much, or how do you, or it does happen but you've found a way to adjust around it?
Yeah, it happens all the time because I'll be in the middle of recruiting and then I have a consultant call me and like, oh my gosh, I have a problem. Then I'm like, oh, well, I got to deal with this. So usually I'll do 50-minute time blocks, or I've done 45-minute time blocks or 30-minute time blocks to where I'll have, 15, 10 minutes, 25 minutes after that time block to adjust to things as they come in. So I kind of intentionally leave little windows in to pivot and respond to emails that aren't affiliated with what I'm trying to block in. And that's what worked for me.
Yeah. No. Fair enough. I think, it could just be me.
It doesn't work for everyone. I've had a lot of recruiters report to me and we'll all do the time blocking thing because it's a million things get thrown out, and half of them it works and half of them it's like, oh, I'm going to figure out a different way to organize my time, and then they find out a different way that works for them. So there's no right or wrong answer.
Well, I mean, that is the truth. There's so much stuff when it comes down to personal productivity things. I mean, there's like 1,000 systems. There's a million There's a million books. It's really about like through trial and error, figuring out what does and doesn't work for you, because no one's brain is exactly the same. It's more about like understanding, getting to know yourself and knowing what works and doesn't work, and what's the most effective way for you to get the things done you need to get done.
Yeah, I have to be rigid, otherwise
Just
lost game, lost cause. I'm just purple squirrel, just
chasing after the bright shiny object.
Exactly.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the lead generation aspect of it. So how much of it is Robert Half generating leads for you versus you're having to go out and get your own business?
I would say it's a fair amount of getting your own business. And that's the same with any type of agency recruiter. You aren't, handed, jobs. You have to find jobs. You have to make relationships with companies and, line managers within those companies. So it's important. It's really important. So I would say majority of clients, either myself or our team brings in through just networking and cold calling and warm calling and all those things.
So is there a commission-based structure to that then? Okay. What have you found to be the most effective form of outreach and lead generation?
You're gonna hate me. I'm gonna give you it depends on the person. Oh man. But it's so true. Everyone has their own, when it comes to business development, their own style. So
Sure.
I have one person that I work with where his style is, I'm going to call you until you have no choice. I'm like, that's not my style. But it works really well for him.
Sheer force of will.
And then I have another person that's like, I'm just going to network. And if they want to work with me, great. And that works for that person. And so how you do it really just depends on the person and your strengths. I like to kind of have a balanced approach where I'm doing a bit of networking. I'm doing some cold calls. I'm doing some, piggybacking off of maybe other groups might have worked with this individual. So I like to mix it up a little bit.
I'm so curious about cold calling. Like, are you working off some like database, using one of those many online tools that give you a bunch of contacts to call in an industry you're trying to target, or what are you doing to cold call that works?
Good question. And I'm not going to give away all my secrets here.
That's
but
whatever you feel comfortable with, at least broad. I'm just curious broadly.
Generally speaking,
down to the exact detail.
Yeah, we have a pretty big database. As we'd say, I document anything. So, people that have been with the company before my time have documented things as well. So I'll piggyback off of those things. So, as far as, I do a fair amount on LinkedIn. So just reaching out, connecting, expanding my network, asking them, hey, controller at this company, what challenges are you experiencing right now? And just having an organic conversation. And oftentimes they'll have things that I've come across recently. I'm like, maybe you look at this. And so I want to organically network on LinkedIn to help learn more about people, find what their challenges are, and then maybe I can help. So that's a big market or a big part of it. Sometimes I'll go to networking events. Recruiters, and if you've been a hiring manager who's posted a job, I'm sure you've gotten a call from a million recruiters if you post a job. So that's part of it too. I'll call and be like, hey, how's your search going? How long has the position been open? Oh, it's been open 2 months. Why? Like, what are you not seeing? So then they'll start an open conversation, and we have a lot of market data to help guide companies to help make a hire, or maybe their compensation's off. So we have a whole salary guide that we can provide them. Maybe there's certain things that they're like, hey, I need a CPA. And it's like, well, did you know 75% of CPAs are retiring or hitting retirement age within the next 10 years? So maybe you want to nix that requirement. So having conversations about that, it's important.
Yeah, if you want guaranteed work, become a CPA.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't tell you how many CPA firms traditionally are like, hey, I need someone to take over the firm. I'm like, oh, there's not a lot.
Yeah, they just the big four just ground everyone up and spit them out, and everyone decide, gonna go into tech instead.
Every day. And I'm like, hey, I'm looking to leave Big Four. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I worked at Big Four out of college, and it was not accounting. It was on the IT consulting side of it, so it wasn't as bad as the accounting, busy season for the accountants.
Still would have to do 60, 70 hours a week, I'm sure, on big projects.
Yeah, it was still a lot, but the accountants, I think, had it the worst, like, because every year you hit this cadence where you're just living in some.
There's busy seasons.
Yeah, like it happened on other stuff too, but the accountants had it the worst for sure.
If it's busy season, you don't see daylight for a few months.
Yeah. And it's a tough grind for people.
Yeah.
The thing I wanted to, you've mentioned LinkedIn a couple times, and I'm really interested about what you're doing in terms of networking on LinkedIn and generating leads on LinkedIn that you're finding to be effective.
Yeah. So I'll research companies I'm interested in, companies I want to work with, teams that look interesting, and just kind of reach out to people based off of curiosity. I'll reach out I'll look up specific companies, and I'm like, oh, like who is in the accounting department here? So I'll look in and I'll connect with them. So that's pretty much my strategy around that.
And you're just saying, hey, what's up? What challenges are you having, or like what kind of questions are you asking? I assume you're not going straight for the like, do you need help kind of like direct sales pitch.
No, not necessarily. It depends on who I'm reaching out to. If I look and see their LinkedIn profile, I'm like, oh, you look like I want to hire you. I'm like, well, hey, you looking for a job? And then some people is, I'm like, hey, I'm just curious to learn, more about your organization. And if there's a way we can help, great. If not, no worries. I'm just a curious person.
Are you paying for like premium or the Navigator or any of that?
On and off. So for a while I did it, and then a while I didn't pay for it, and then now I'm just adding the LinkedIn RPS, which is used for recruiters.
Oh,
LinkedIn.
There's a specific thing for.
There's a specific thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I get recruiters reaching out to me about stuff, and I'm like, I don't know why you're reaching out to me, because it's like, I think they see Ernst & Young on my resume from like 10 plus years ago, and I'm like, I don't think I've gone in very different directions now.
Yeah. They'll probably see that. They're like, oh, someone from Big Four. Great.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it, I guess. You never, I guess you miss every shot you don't take. So,
yeah.
But we're getting to the end, towards kind of the endish of our conversation. So I want to jump in I got a couple bonus questions coming up here, but I wanted to ask a couple more questions about your current job. I'm curious, like, you work with a lot of people, talk to a lot of companies, like, what kind of trends are you seeing out in the world right now? Like, what are people, what's going well, what's going wrong? What are people struggling with?
Good question. In recruiting and labor market in general, or accounting and finance trends?
Both, sure.
Both,
whatever you want to share. Yeah, whatever comes to mind.
So some trends right now is, as I'm sure you know, AI's impact in jobs. And everyone's kind of figuring out, all right, how is AI going to impact my job? How is it going to impact the job market in general? Is it going to get rid of jobs? So it's a big thing we're all kind of figuring out here. The newest jobs report came out. I don't know when this will air, but for the month of October.
Probably in 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay. All right. So it'll still be relevant. But yeah, jobs report, and we had the roughest jobs month ever, or not ever, but in 22 years in October. As far as the number of layoffs, and a lot are attributing to overspending in the past, so they might have had too high of a headcount cost, so they're reducing that, but then also streamlining things with AI. So companies are kind of weighing all right, how efficient can we get in AI, and is that going to impact our company's headcount? For example, in accounting and finance, historically, let's say an accounts receivable and collections team might be 4 people to just collect all the money from your customers. But if you're able to use AI to streamline some of the grunt work and reduce kind of the time to do something by 40 hours, then do you need that 4th person? So a lot of companies are kind of weighing that, and there's uncertainty around a lot of that right now.
Yeah, I think right now the story for the average company when it comes to AI is probably more often than not that it's not replacing people, but it's certainly not where maybe you'd be hiring someone you're not anymore, because the same people are getting more work done in the same amount of time.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times they're elevating positions. So, for example, accounts receivable collections department, they had 4 people that were accounts receivable clerk level people. Maybe you have 3, but they're more AR analysts, higher level. They're doing more reporting, more tracking, more streamlining, maybe more of the general ledger type activities. So they're maybe instead of 4 clerk level, they're 3 analyst levels. So it's just redefining how we do the work. They might change the number of headcounts on teams, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be a net negative, because it's also elevating some positions as well.
Right. Yeah. I think we're a long way. Like AI is great especially for like summarizing data and information, right? So it's great for helping with reporting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then it's great for like getting rid of grunt work, like quickly synthesizing stuff. So I can see how it's super useful for doing AP, AR work. You're collecting money, and or you're having to pay invoices, and it can just chew on the invoices, spit everything into the ERP system, and then someone just has to click approve, looks good. And that saves a huge amount of time.
Yeah, there's definitely that cost savings there. So a lot of companies are looking at, all right, how can we utilize AI for cost savings? So they're looking at exactly that. So it's been interesting, and when there's no answers, it's kind of evolving over time. There's evolving as different tools are brought out to market and are developing, and also how people are learning to utilize those tools. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of uncertainty right now about how AI is going to affect jobs. And yeah, there's going to continue to be a little bit more uncertainty as it all gets figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other trends or anything besides AI out there that worth mentioning?
Yeah, I mean, with the jobs, the labor market is also very cyclical. So people need to know that. If people are in the job market and they're applying to a ton of jobs and they're not getting traction, just know while, in October, November, December, if they're not getting traction, January, February, they might get a ton of traction. So just a reminder for people, if they're in the job market, they're looking, they need to get working, just to stick with it and sticking with it, because it might be tight right now, but in the next few months it might not be.
Okay, since you brought it up, for those people that may be struggling to find a job, what are kind of the common like resume or application mistakes you see people make?
Yeah, and this kind of also goes in themes with AI. A lot of companies, because right now we're seeing a large amount of applicants, but not necessarily qualified applicants. So I'm getting people for my on-site position in San Francisco, someone in Tennessee, and they are wanting to see if it's remote, but they're applying anyway. So they're getting a lot of applicants, and so they're using AI tools to kind of help screen and kind of create a short list. So a lot of people, they don't include keywords or software or whatever important things on their resume, and then they get screened out by the screening software. So an advice, for anyone applying to jobs and not getting a response, look at the job description. If they're asking for a specific software and you have it, but it's not on your resume, throw it on your resume. If they're looking for a specific task, you don't have it on your resume, but you have experience working with it, add that to your resume, because they're looking for little keywords, and you don't want to get screened out for not having it on your resume.
Yeah, so it's really important to make sure you're tailoring your resume to the job you're applying for, because I feel like it's gotten really easy. I mean, I hear these anecdotal statistics. People are like, I've applied to 1,000 jobs in the last 6 months and I haven't found anything. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy. But also, if you're just going down a list and clicking apply, and just sending the same resume to everyone, I don't see how that could be that effective.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's different statistics for every person. If you're, looking for a remote only job, and that is the case for a lot of people, because everyone in the U.S. is looking and applying and open to a remote job. So,
but those are more of a unicorn now, right? That's not nearly as common as it used to be.
Yeah, there's definitely been a push. I was in San Francisco yesterday, and I was just noticing even this month, just more and more people walking around the sidewalks, and the restaurants. I tried to get lunch somewhere, and they didn't have any tables. I'm like, oh, it's been 5 years since that's happened in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I always get a table. What do you mean they're all packed? So more and more companies are going on site, but there's still a handful that will offer remote positions. And there's certain job functional roles where, remote is actually the way to go, because you don't necessarily need to be on site to collaborate, and you can do it remotely, and the best person happens to sit
right
in North Carolina, and you're like, great.
Yeah, for sure. It just depends on the situation. Absolutely. Yeah. So we are now to the bonus question time. Very easy, I think. Well, I should say that, and then you struggle with them. But I think historically, they're not challenging questions.
Hit me up.
The first one is there what book do you recommend or gift to people the most?
What book do I gift or recommend to people? Dad jokes. There's I don't know, it's one of those little pamphlet, little books. It's like that. 20 pages, dad jokes. Those are fun. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's lighthearted. And then sometimes I'll go to the office and we're like, all right, what's the dad joke of the day? And I'm like, all right, and drum roll, and it's this awful joke. And everyone's just like,
culture's important. Yeah, vibes are important, right? I like that. And then the last question I ask everyone is, if you could put a billboard up over the freeway and part some nugget of wisdom to people, what's the one thing you'd want to put on there you want people to know?
Wisdom. Oh, I'm not a wise person, so I'm not sure if I'm not the person. I'm structured and I'm good at planning my day.
It means time block. It works.
Yeah, time block. It works. Put that in there. No, I mean, just keep persevering, keep pushing through. If you're in the job market looking for the job, keep applying.
Yeah.
Do your best and adapt. It's important too. Be adaptable.
Yeah.
Be okay to change. Embrace technology. A lot of things I can throw out there. Little buzzwords.
Yeah. How about don't be afraid of change.
Don't be afraid of change.
Embrace the change.
That's a good one.
There we go.
I'll go with that.
There we go. We workshopped it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Collaborative.
Collaboration's key.
Yeah. In real time. Well, Adrian, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. It was a great conversation, very interesting. Where can people find you? Anything you want to shout out?
You can find me on LinkedIn. If I haven't connected with you already, you can connect with me. But that's a good way to connect with me on LinkedIn.
And you're that'll be in the description of the podcast in the YouTube video as well, so people can just clickety-clack right there. And
that's probably the most public way to get me. So,
perfect. Yeah. And I am Jonathan Mart with Flywheel Consulting. You can find me at flywheelconsulting.co. Thank you so much again for being on, and until next time.
Appreciate it. Talk soon.